All right, here's where we left off. We learned how to use the pen tool in combination with the brush tool. We did some straight lines and stroked with different kinds of brushes and colors. We did the triangle and gave it a stroke and a fill color. So far you should have 3 lines, 3 zigzags, and 3 triangles similar to mine. Time to move on to the S curve. So what we're looking at right now is sort of a wave or an S on its side, and it has these straight lines. These straight lines are called direction handles. They tell your future path where to go. They don't actually exist. They'll never actually show up. They're just there to guide any path that you make in the future. All right, we're going to make 3 S curves. Let's try it out first with the template, and then you'll do it without a template. All right, to begin, go ahead and set up your color that you want to stroke the path with. Go to your brush tool, drop down the brush menu, the one that's kind of second to the left. Choose a brush that you're going to stroke with. I'll just choose the hard round for the first one. Decrease the size of your brush somewhere between 10 to 15. All right, now let's get the pen tool. I'm going to zoom in just so you can see better. We'll get the pen tool. Now, what we're going to do first, what I'm going to do is set up a direction handle that is pointing down. This direction handle is not a part of the path, and it's not a part of the line that will ever show up. It's just prepping the path. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click and hold on L and drag down to K and release. Now what we just did was create a direction handle. We pulled it down, which means our next path is going to try to go down, and then it's going to try to meet your next anchor that you lay. So what I'm going to do is jump to N, sort of the middle of this path. That's the path I want to make this little curve. It's actually called a Bezier curve, and we're using the Bezier pen. We're going to jump to N. We're going to click and hold. Now look at my smart guides. If I were to let go right now, the path would be too short. It's higher than the curve I want to make. If I pull up, the path arcs down. Notice if I start going crazy, if I pull down, the path arcs up. Or if I pull to the right, the path arcs left. Or if I pull to the left, the path arcs right. So at the moment, I'm still holding my mouse, which lets me kind of twirl this path in this direction handle. All right, but what I want to do is simply pull up a little bit with the direction handle and then let go so that I've made this nice smooth arc. All right, so at this point we have 2 direction handles and 1 path, just this arc. I'm going to jump to the end of my path, so I'm sort of anticipating where the end of my path will be. That happens to be O right there. I'm going to click and hold. Remember, if I let go, the path is too short. Look at my smart guides telling me the path is too short. It's not reaching the template. It's not arcing up high enough. So to make it arc high or go up, I need to pull down. Okay, and remember, you can pull up, you can pull down, and you can adjust the arc of your path. All right, once I'm happy with it, then I'll let go of my mouse. And I've now created the S curve, and I've got 3 direction handles. And remember, those direction handles will never show up. They're just a guide. All right, move away from the path, go to the empty space, right click, stroke path. We set up our brush already, so that's what I'm going to use. Yes, brush. We're not doing simulate pressure right now. And we'll click OK. All right, and there's my path. I'm sorry, well, there's the line. Now it's time to get rid of that path. I'm going to move away from the path, right click, delete path. All right, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to switch up my color and I'm going to switch up my brush. You do the same thing. So we're stroking with a new color and a new brush. I'm even going to increase the size of the brush. It was on around 12. I'm going to increase to 20. All right, next up, so I'll go back to my pen tool. Okay, now I'm going to do the S curve, but I'm going to do it now below the template. All right, so here I go. I'm going to anticipate my path by making a direction handle. So I'm going to click and hold and drag down and let go. So I've created a direction handle. It's pointing down. And I have one anchor point. I'm going to jump to the middle of where I think that curve will be. I'm going to click and hold. And I'm going to pull up to make the arc go down. Once I'm happy with the arc, I'll let go of the mouse. I'll jump over to where I want the end of my path to be. I'm going to click and hold. And I'm going to pull down to make the arc go up. All right, so now I've made my S curve and I've got some direction handles. Take a look at this. I'm going to go over to the tool below the pen tool. It's a black arrow and it's called the Path Selection tool. Well, the Path Selection tool selects paths. So I'm going to select this path and I want to move it up. It's too low. All right, so I'm just moving it. That's what the Path Selection tool does. Lets me move it around. I could even resize it. All right, I'm going to go back to the pen tool. I'm going to right click and stroke the path. Brush, okay. Right click, delete path. All right, one more time. I'm going to change my color. I'm going to change my brush. Okay, back to the pen tool. One more time. Let's make a third one. We're going to click and hold, drag down to make that direction handle. Jump to the middle of where your path is going to be. Click and hold, drag up to make the path swoop down. Release the mouse. Jump to the end of where you want your path to be. Click and hold, drag down to make the path arc up. And release. Move away from the path, right click, stroke path. Brush, okay. Right click, delete path. All right, that's our S curves, and using the pen tool to create what's called smooth points, kind of a contradiction, but smooth points, no angles. All right, we're moving on to the circle. All right, same concept here. We're going to be clicking and dragging to create smooth paths. Clicking and dragging is always your best use of the pen tool, giving you direction handles. So direction handles are good. Let's begin. I'm going to click and release on P to start an anchor. I'm going to jump over to Q and I'm going to click and hold. I'm still holding the mouse. If I let go, I'm going to have a straight line from P to Q. We don't want a straight line, right? I want it to arc. So I'm going to drag to the right. I'm dragging to the right to make it arc left. Notice if I drag too far, my arc is arcing way off the circle. If I drag up, the arc is arcing into the circle, right? So I'm dragging left to make it I'm dragging right to make it arc left. Then I'll let go. I've got part of my path and a direction handle that's now pointing to the right. And I want to go right, but I also want to go down. So I'm going to click and hold on R and see how that looks. It looks pretty good, but remember, stagnant anchor points with no direction handle is not good. So I'm going to pull just a little bit. I want a little bit of a direction handle. And let go. I'm going to jump on S. I'm going to click and hold. Once again, if I let go, I'm only going to have a straight line. I need it to arc down and to the right. So I'm going to pull left, making it a direction handle and making it arc to the right at the same time. All right, I'm going to go back to P, my original anchor point. I need to close the path to make a shape. I'm looking for that little circle next to the pen tool that tells me I'm closing the path. I'm going to click and hold, and if it looks good, release. All right, now I've made my circle, and remember there's this teeny bit that sort of went outside of the template. I can edit that before I stroke the path. Let's go back to that tool below the pen tool. There's the path selection tool, and right below it is the direct selection tool, the white arrow. I want that white arrow. The path selection tool or direct select tool lets me edit paths. It's going to let me edit the anchor point and even the direction handle. See how I can grab that little ball at the end of the direction handle and edit. So you don't have to be perfect the first time. You can go get your white direct select arrow and you can pull the paths and the direction handles, and you can edit this path and make it nice and smooth and clean before you stroke or fill. I'm going back to the pen tool now, and first off I want to fill it, so I'm going to right click, fill path. All right, remember we can choose a foreground, background, or bring up your color picker. All right, so I just filled the circle yellow. Now, before you delete the path, give the path a stroke. Right click again, stroke path. I've already got it set up with this previous settings right here, the pink and the soft brush, so I'll keep that. All right, and now I can delete the path. Move away from it, right click, delete path. All right, you're going to do that 2 more times without a template. You're going to make 2 more circles, fill them different colors, and give them different colored strokes and a different brush each time. So I'm going to go back to my brush tool, set up a different brush. Get a different color. All right, back to the pen tool. I'm going to make my circle without the template. So I'm going to start sort of at the left side where there would be the P if I had the template. Click and release. I'm going to jump to where I think the top of the circle will be. I'm going to click and hold, pull to the left. Sorry, pull to the right to make the arc go left. I'm going to jump to the right-hand area of where I think the circle will be. Click and hold. I'm going to drag down a little bit just to get a nice direction handle. I'm going to jump to where I think the bottom of the circle will be. Click and hold. I'm going to drag left to make it arc right. And now I'm going back to my original anchor point, looking for that circle next to my cursor that tells me I'm closing the path. I'm going to click and hold. It's definitely too short. I'm going to pull up to make it arc out a little bit. All right, now from here, I could go get that white direct select arrow and I could play around editing my circle, making it look nice and smooth, nice and clean. All right, so make sure your circle looks as smooth and round as possible using that white direct select arrow. All right, back to the pen tool. I'm going to move away from the path, right click, fill path. I'll choose a different color than last time. All right, time to stroke the path. I already set up a different color and different brush. And right-click, delete the path. All right, there's my turquoise circle with my halftone dot brush around it. All right, and do that one more time for 3 circles. One more time, I'm going to change my brush. And I'm going to change the color. Whoops. Got a lot of windows open. Hold on. All right, I'm going to change the color of the brush. Back to the pen tool, and time to make my circle. So remember, you can pull with the white direct select arrow, you can edit any part of the path. You can pull the anchor points. You can pull the direction handles by the little dots on the end of them. You can move them up and down, pull to make wider. And notice I'm just sort of clicking away to deselect and then going back on it and clicking to reselect. All right, back to the pen tool, right click, fill path. And right click, stroke path. Brush looks the same. Let's undo that. I'm going to go get a different brush. All right, back to the pen tool, right click, stroke path. There we go. And right click, delete path. All right, make sure you have 3 S curves, 3 different colors, 3 different brushes, 3 circles, 3 different fill colors, 3 different brushes, 3 different colors of the stroke. Let's take a minute to finish that up.